So here we are in Miami Beach. I'll point out Miami Beach 100 years ago was barely a beach. And now what do we have today? And so this next century of South Florida is in the hands of some really extraordinary people. We're here at the New World Center not only because it's a fabulous place, but also because the team, the tech, the leadership, everybody top to bottom of this organization is all in particular Howard Herring. There's a great organization in the Miami area called Emerge Americas, and Felice Gorordo, the CEO, who's going to be with us, and if you could all join me on stage. And we also have Paola, Isaac, Baraya from the county of Broward. The town up the way called Fort Lauderdale is the capital of Broward County. So if the three of you could join me on the stage, and we'll have a conversation about Miami, city of the future, region of the future. Good to meet you. And we just met this morning, Paola.
Yes, we have.
Felice, we've had a couple of conversations, and Howard, we've obviously known each other since 2015, I think, when we were first introduced.
First year, yep.
So thanks for being with us at dinner last night and welcoming everybody. So I want to start with a question first to give everybody our bearings. Briefly, what's your role with respect to the rise of South Florida? What's your role with respect to the rise of South Florida as a civic, thriving entity? Howard, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure. I arrived in Miami in 2001, and one of the ideas that we began to pursue was this building, and it took us 5 or 6 years to get to that understanding of ourselves. And you heard me talk about it last night, but there was an incredible inferiority complex in Miami at that point. You picked it up constantly as I would make Lincoln Road, as I would talk to potential funders, as I would go around and be with government leaders, and I would say, we imagine this building, and Frank Gehry's going to be the architect. And I had a couple people, important people, say, who's Frank Gehry? So the transition from dream to reality at this scale, $160 million, 190 if you include the park and the garage, that was something nobody was ready to contemplate, embrace, and certainly not get excited about. In the process, what happened, and it didn't just happen to us, $1 billion was invested in cultural infrastructure in this city over a 10-year stretch. That's the Arts Center, Perez Art Museum, Frost Science, the ICA, a number of private museums that have grown up, and us. So for a city, nobody's done this since Lincoln Center in New York, for a city, a community, I should say, because this is not just a city, this is a community, came together and said, we think culture is important.
Yeah.
And they did it not in a singular way. They didn't build, like Lincoln Center, 3 halls and say, okay, let's do what Europe does. It came about us. There's other aspects of this city, this community, where they took a new approach to making and presenting or producing significant artistic statements. So,
and you also here built an educational institution. This isn't, forgive me, just a concert hall. I mean, it's a beautiful concert hall, but this is really an educational institution that builds capability and the muscle of the arts, and also sends people to the world, like Ian, who goes off. They go off and they're proud to come back to Miami Beach. So
absolutely.
Thanks so much, Howard. And the anchor of culture is essential. Felice, what's your role?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rob, for having us,
Not
for
at all.
having me, and I'm honored to be here, and thank you, Howard, for hosting us. Miami is going through a renaissance, and Rob, you said it perfectly, at all levels. Very much so in the technology space, but also in arts and culture, and there's no better testament to that than this building right here. I have to reinforce that, and thank you, Howard, for your leadership. What's my role? My role is that of a convener, a connector, and an evangelist. At Emerge Americas, we are a platform focused on transforming South Florida into the tech hub of the Americas. And we do that by convening all the stakeholders that make up any tech and entrepreneurial ecosystem, from government to higher ed, entrepreneurs, incubators, accelerators, and investors. And we connect the dots between the entrepreneurs, the talent, and the capital. And we tell the story of how South Florida and the region as a whole is transforming. And we have an incredible story to tell. I think to Howard's earlier point, maybe we had an inferiority complex before. We definitely don't have one now. Yeah. Because we've got a great story to tell. We're number one in tech job migration in the US. We're number one in tech job growth in the US. And in terms of venture capital dollars invested, we're number one in the Southeast. And now we're number 10 in the nation, with almost $5 billion invested in startups locally just in the last year alone. So we've got an incredible story to tell. I think, again, my role here is to convene, connect, and evangelize that story about Miami and the region as a whole.
And Felice, you're doing an extraordinary job, and you're coming in with the founder of Emerge, Manny Medina. And Manny was one of the, I guess, the grandfathers of the tech miracle here.
Godfather, we call him the OG.
The guy. Well, I wanted to be careful, call him the Godfather, because that has I'm from Chicago, so that has a but he welcomed us here at the New World Center in 2016 when we were here for our global event, and it's been breathtaking, really, to see how this region has risen. And by the way, in the room here we have people from the tech community around the world, Estonia, Finland, UK, Paris, Latin America. So I'm sure you can spend some time collecting some, do we even do business cards anymore? Anyway, great. Paola, what's your role here in the region?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me as well. I'm in the government sector, and I'm just a little bit up north from Miami. We formed the South Florida region. We're really brothers and sisters, Miami-Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County. We work together. And what I would like to say is when you look at a map of all the Americas, from Canada all the way down to South America, Chile, we are really in the middle of all the Americas. And this is what's really exciting. And Miami's been doing such a great job, I think, resurging as a global hub, not only for the Americas, but around the world. We get like about 10 calls a day of businesses wanting to move from everywhere, Europe, Africa, Asia, and I'll talk later about a big conference we do with 60 countries. We bring former presidents from Latin America. But really, Washington, D.C. sees us as a door of entry and exit for the United States. But also, I'm looking at it, the whole Americas. And Florida went a long way because we used to be known for agriculture and tourism, mainly. Right. And then with our previous governors, they decided to form targeted sectors. So we have life sciences. In Broward County, we're very strong in medical device, aviation industry. Companies call us, they want to be in air code 954 because we have a lot of MROs. We have the Embraer headquarters, technology as well. We built the South Florida Tech Gateway map that Silicon Valley designed for us. And so we're really growing fast. These are just some examples of some sectors, but definitely there's a renaissance. And I want to add one last point, is also not only about business, but it's about culture. That's why we're here. And culture attracts the right workforce. And as well, sports. We just had Formula One here. And now we're just announcing that the United States won the World Cup for cricket tournaments. And Broward County...
I'm sorry, what's that?
Cricket tournament.
I'm not familiar.
Cricket is one of the...
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
And basically, Broward County...
We just lost 8 million people in India and Bangladesh on the live stream.
And maybe they just join in now that they heard the word cricket. And we're the only sanctioned cricket stadium in all North America.
Really?
So we won to be the host county and city, Lauderhill. When I went to India, they're like, we know where Lauderhill is in Broward County, because they knew we had a cricket team. Over 300 million people watch it with cricket on television.
It's stunning how big that sport is. So that's a brilliant move, by the way. Where was Miami? You guys are slow.
We don't know what cricket is.
Yeah, okay. Good for you.
You'll find out soon.
So I want to ask, I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan. It's great to be back here, and I can underscore what you've just said. My family and I live outside New York City, which is a great city. But increasingly, I'm hearing our overseas friends, they always go to New York, right? But they're also coming to Miami. They're also coming to South Florida. So all the sun aside, what's a challenge facing the region? And if anybody wants to share, what's a challenge you're facing that you have to figure out how to overcome to achieve your potential here in the region?
Well, you got to start with sea level rise.
I was about to say.
We were all, for those of you who don't know, we're sitting on top of limestone. It's coming up from underneath, not just from the ocean. And we are ground zero. So we will figure this out. It's a matter of when. It's a matter of how fast we can get to that place. I also think that a solution that will emerge rather quickly, is transportation. There's only a certain number of square feet in any metropolitan area. There's only a certain number of linear feet. Right. We have a hard time getting people coming from the other side across the causeways to concerts here, and we know there's a barrier. If we could solve that, if we could make that different and inviting and positive, and we would not just get more people moving, we'd get intersections, we'd get collisions of people, we'd bring people together as culture has brought people together historically.
Yeah. That's interesting, that really small space between, and you think about Manhattan and where we live in New Jersey. I mean, if you're a respectful Manhattanite, you've got to really be bribed to take a trip across a bridge or a tunnel, unless you're going to the airport, of course. But that very small space means something. So if you down here could figure out how to collapse that small space, that would have an enormous impact on the connectivity of the region. Anybody else? One more challenge. Go ahead, Paola.
If, as we're growing, we're the third largest state in the United States, and as you mentioned, many people moving from other states, it does become an increasing challenge, transportation. The county has a 30-year plan, and we just came back from Dubai to talk about smart cities, how we want to make our county and the region. I think we're very behind here in South Florida. We're kind of just realizing now how quickly we're growing, but we are still planning for the future, so that's why we have a master plan for 30 years.
Great.
As our port is expanding, our airports, Miami just became #1 passenger airport in the United States, which just shows the traffic that comes through here is very impactful, you know. But at the same time, sustainability. So we have to look at how the environment is impacted by this population change, the activities we do industrially here. So we went, for example, to Israel on a trade mission to look at desalination plants.
Right.
How can we turn water? Went with the mayor for Lauderdale to explore benchmark on other parts of the world, techniques we can use here for sustainability, climate change. So it's being studied at the moment, but I think we have a far ways to go, and that's our challenge.
Yeah, Rob,
Great, Felice,
I could just
go
jump
ahead.
in here, and I think it cannot be understated. Sea level rise is an existential crisis for us. It's not a backyard issue, it's a front yard issue. It's not a partisan issue, because everyone here, I think, sees it, you know, at least once a month when you've got the king tides, and it's real. We can also be ground zero for climate tech because of that. And I think one of the things that I'm really excited about is Aspen Ideas has just had its inaugural Aspen Ideas Climate Conference here about a month ago, and now it's going to be an annual conference. And the idea is to bring all the best and brightest minds, all the networks and relationships to bear here on South Florida to help try and solve this issue. And so this is one way that you all can get engaged and plug in and make a really outsized and tangible impact.
Actually, tell us how we can do that, because the next question is, what's an initiative you'd like to share with everybody very briefly, engage with, have a chat during the break? So Felice, how do they engage with that?
Yeah, so Aspen Ideas, you can definitely check in with me right after that, but that's going to be an annual conference here, and that's with the Aspen Institute. Another one, I got to make a plug for it, is Emerge Americas.
Yes.
So we organize a large tech conference here once a year. It's our homegrown conference. We just wrapped up this past April. We had about 20,000 people from 44 states and 53 countries. It's not your typical tech bro conference in that it's about 50-50, 50% men, 50% women, and it's a real focus on diversity and inclusion. I think one of the things that you know from this panel here is we're all from somewhere else. More than 60% are immigrants or the children of immigrants. So we're an incredibly diverse and also welcoming city, and we would love to have you all come back, either for Aspen, and if not both, Emerge Americas, April 2023.
Great. Howard?
Help us build an online community.
Okay.
We are imagining something that we are creating day by day. We are asking the question, can you have a transformative musical experience as an audience member in an online setting? Can you have the kind of conversations that you would have in a lobby after a performance? Can you come to a place where online is as powerful as what happens in a theater? And if we can find that sweet spot, we will become a far larger and more influential cultural institution.
Well, I'm going to give you, happy to work with you on that if you're interested. I'm going to give you a clue. Today, you can't.
Understood.
Today, you can't. But you can do some stuff you can't do in person, right? We all know that. And guess what? In, I don't know if it's 5 years or 10 years, you can.
That's it.
So you're going to be ahead of it. You're going to be way ahead of it.
We want to get there first.
Great. Paola?
Yes, our office is organizing for the 7th year the Florida International Trade and Cultural Expo. It's about a 2,000 people conference at our convention center in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be October 19th and 20th, and we bring 60 countries. So every year we partner with the Global Peace Foundation. We bring former presidents from Latin America. Last year, even during the pandemic, we had 5 former presidents from Guatemala, Bolivia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and we also bring ministers from Africa, the mayor of Accra, Ghana, Minister of Labor from Nigeria. So ministers, high-level governments, and the business community come together to promote international trade, which leads to peace as well. And the theme this year is sustainability, as we just talked about, and youth engagement as well, because we have to think about our future. So we're working with the United Nations to have a youth panel as well. So it's very interesting. It's a free conference, and we invite everybody. I know there's people from all over the world here. There's going to be delegations from 60 countries. I can give my card after and some information. It's a free conference, October 19th and 20th, and we hope you can all join us. And I want to concur that eMERGE is excellent as well. The county supports eMERGE every year, and we participate with our Innovation Center and different initiatives in Broward County. So we welcome you all back. If you're not from the area, we'd love to have you and introduce you to some key people, make key relationships that will be beneficial as a win-win.
And this is something I've really enjoyed seeing down here compared to some places. It seems like there's a pretty good simpatico between the various political entities and the players in the region.
Yes.
And that bodes very well for the future. A quick question about the youth program. Youth is defined as 53 and under. Is that?
Yeah, it
great,
should be.
Great.
If you
Thank
want
God.
to, we'll work
okay.
together on
all right. Yes. Yes. Inclusive.
Yes.
Inclusive.
Truth is what you can get away with.
Truth is what you can get away with saying. Tape it. Tape it. So Howard, the inferiority complex is gone. Don't let the hubris get away from you. But definitely, there's no need for inferiority. That is well over. And you have the opportunity also because, as Paola said, we recognize we're behind in some ways. And what are you doing? Oh, you're sitting around and lamenting that? No, you're going to Israel, you're going to Dubai, you're reaching out to the world, you're having Emerge Americas. And by the way, you want to talk about inclusion? If you want us there, we're going to be there. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
This is one of the most exciting places in all of the Americas right now. And I hope you'll all join us to be here. And I think our 3 panelists have illustrated something that a great Chicagoan, Daniel Burnham, my hometown, said many years ago: make no little plans, for they fail to stir the souls of, let's say, people. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you much.
Gracias.